What's going on, YouTubers? I'm Kayla Haley, and today I'm going to give you the 5 steps to land your first social media marketing client. Okay, before we actually get into the five, strategies to get your first client, um, I want to talk to you guys first about a little bonus thing, which is why are you doing this to begin with? There are a lot of entrepreneurs out there online that you'll see who do it because they want to have a certain lifestyle. They want to, maybe they've seen how their parents were and they decided, instead of working a 9 to 5, I want to be in control of my own schedule and use my time how I want to. And entrepreneurship, affords you that luxury. Maybe it's because you're in debt like me, and you want to get out of that and set yourself up for, a healthier financial future. Um, you know, I went to college. I went to a private school in Atlanta, and it was not the wisest decision, especially since I went to school for biology, and it's not what I want to do. And you have a lot of you know uh, people in your life, especially your parents or your adult mentors who you tell you you need to do this, you need to do that to be successful, or to at least live. Ultimately, what your parents want is for you to live the lifestyle that they're at or higher. Um, and I think for a lot of the parent generation, my parents, college is the way that they see that happens. But I think with what we're learning right now is that that's not the case, and that the more in debt that you are, you're actually further behind the people who didn't even go to school, who can learn all of this stuff online. So that's my biggest why. Especially before I get into my later 20s and my 30s and really life really gets started, I'd like to be in a healthy financial spot. So let's start it off. Number one, I got all of my stuff on my phone. So we're going to go through each point. So the first step to landing your first client in social media marketing is to create a top 100 prospect list. So when I first started, I had no idea what niche I was going to be a part of or go into. I didn't know, honestly, I didn't really know much of anything. But I did know, okay, I know that there are like lists online of businesses in Denver, Colorado, and I knew that I wanted to stay local, because as I build up my brand and build up my reputation, I want people to be able to see me face to face. That was really important to me, especially in this age of online marketing. Some of that human touch sometimes can get missed, and when you're talking about, signing on clients for a lot of money, them being able to see who you are, shake your hand, it's really important. We'll talk about that some more on another point. But build your list of prospects. And in the beginning, when you don't know what your niche is, just basically write down a list of everyone who you would like to work with. I don't know if I can do this on my computer. I think I can. So, okay, there's me, and then there's my email. And okay, so here's my list of, all right. So let's click to record the full screen. End recording by clicking the stop button. Okay, so here is my list of 100 prospects. And so as you can see, I have a combination of, what I did was I categorized it by the name of the company, the category of the company, what I could research as to what their annual revenue was, what the industry fee would be, what my fee would be, how I approached the prospect, the date that I did so, and then all of the follow-up until whether or not they said, yes, I'm interested, or no, I'm not interested. And so, as you can see, most of these are either yellow or red. A few of them are green. And so I kind of ranked, depending on where the client was in my funnel, I ranked them. And so most of these are red or yellow, which basically mean, they're cold, or I've reached out to them and they said they're not interested. And then I've got a couple of purple ones in here are ones that have closed. And then the green ones are ones that are really close to being closed. So you can kind of see that. Let me go back to my main screen here. So once you've created your list of 100 prospects, the next step 2, is to actually start creating free audits, digital audits for each of those prospects. One of the courses that I recommend you guys looking into is Jordan Steen's digital marketing course. I'll have the link in the description below, so go ahead and check that out. He does a great job of really detailing the best way to create a digital audit. And so what it includes, and what an audit is, if for any of you who don't know, is basically just, you go in and you do some analysis on, your prospects, social media accounts, on their email funnel, on their website. You provide feedback as to what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and what you can do to help them. So in a nutshell, that's what an audit does and what it is. And so you can either send that audit to them through email, but the thing that I found that has been more effective is I actually will go ahead and print them out. I'll go either over to Office Depot just to kind of get it on that nice paper, and put like my business card inside of it. Actually, I should go show you guys one of my audits. Hold on. Okay, so in these audits, as you can see, sort of. So what I do is I print my audits out, at least for the first time when I get to know the prospect, and going up those stairs. And what I'll do is I'll put it in a nice binder kind of situation, kind of like a science report or something like that. And it's just these little details that make your prospects like, oh wow, like I didn't ask for this. They came in and specifically, it makes a difference when because everybody gets emails, and emails, I mean, to be honest, even in the business world, are just like spam. Even if you do have something valuable to give to your prospect, and you're like, wow, I really want to give this to you, but a lot of times they get bombarded with so many, hey, I'd like to meet with you and I'd like to sell you my product, basically. The best way to get their attention, at least in the beginning, is by coming in and saying, hey, I've got something of value for you. I just wanted to come in. My name is Kayla Haley. I own a digital marketing agency called St. Rock Media. I've been on your website and your different social media accounts, and I, prepared this audit for you because I think that, some of the things in here would be some value to you. And the thing that you do is you create an audit, not so you don't just tell them about why they should go with you. You give them an audit that actually gives them the opportunity to do these things by themselves. And that's where the actual value comes from. And that's where that trust comes from. Because if your actual desire is to help someone, you're going to give them something, right? You're actually going to give them something to help themselves. Now, most people, their problem with doing digital marketing is, one, they don't really know how to do it, and two, they don't have the time to learn how to do it and then to actually execute it. They're trying to run the rest of their business. So the more that you give them the tools to do it themselves, the more that trust really starts to get built. The next thing, number 3, is, and this is controversial. Number 3 is a little bit controversial. Number 3 is do work for free to build your portfolio, right? And now, when I first started, like I said, I started back in May of this year. I was going around to all these dealerships in my neighborhood, and there were tons of people giving me advice about, oh, you shouldn't do that for free. Like, people should be paying you to do that kind of stuff for them. And I was like, yes, that's true, but how else are they going to actually pay attention? I have a couple of examples for this. Um, and the other thing is, I didn't have a portfolio. So when people would ask, so what's your background? Right? What's your background? Or have you done this do you have any other clients? And my answer would be, not yet. Um, which, everyone has to start at some point, but no one wants to be the science experiment, right? And no one wants to be the science experiment and they're paying to be experimented on, right? You have to provide value that's equal. So if they're going to be giving you experience, and really they're not giving you experience, they're allowing you to experiment on them. That's really what that is. Um, exchange that for them to, the exchange for them is to not have to risk anything, right? So an example of this is I did a few projects with Ferrari of Denver. It's Ferrari, Bentley, and Lotus of Denver here in Colorado. And I remember emailing the prospect, and I won't say his name, but basically saying, hey, I've been through your social media accounts. It looks like you guys could use some help. And one of the tricks that I had was that I specifically said I would do something free for them for a specific event that they had coming up. So they're big into, the high-end luxury market. And so one of their charity events that they had was a polo event. And so I volunteered, hey, let me come and do your video for your charity event. They had like a live auction, the charity, they had the polo event on Sunday morning. And I said, let me and my videographer come in and we'll do your video for you and do like a wrap-up video of the weekend and then post it on your social media accounts. And I'm bold at the end. I said, do this for free, right? And he was like, yeah, like let's schedule a meeting. And so you have to get your foot into the door. Yeah, you're gonna get paid eventually, but sometimes people are too short-sighted to where they want to make money right away. But the long-term, dollars come from building that relationship, building that trust, proof of concept, to be honest. Because anybody can say they can do anything, but again, if you don't have that portfolio to back it up, you literally have no proof. So that you can do the work. And so we went in and we, shot videos for for the polo match and everything like that. And then they had us come back for they started inviting us to all this kind of stuff, right? And, people, and, you have to be careful with these things because some people are, honorable and they recognize the fact that you are doing something for them for free, like tremendous value, so that they can make a decision. And, this was one of those scenarios where the prospect didn't make a decision right away. I still think that, down the road that the relationship is still good. I'm going to still send him a holiday gift, like a Christmas gift, like a bottle of wine, or just to say, thank you for, even just entertaining the conversation with me. You always want to keep those doors open because you never know who's going to come back and say, hey, actually, we do need your help. So that's important. Another example of some, spec work that I did for a client was there's this huge my church hosted here in Denver over Labor Day weekend. And there were over 2,000 registrants, both locally and from out of town and overseas, who came into town for this conference, this church conference. And so I was on the marketing team with a couple other people, but my team was specifically in charge of doing a 3-day vlog series. And so, we posted on Instagram, we posted on Facebook and YouTube. And the video series got over 20,000 views, both on YouTube and on Facebook. And so it was a really cool opportunity to, again, build up the portfolio and saying, hey, we've done conferences, right? And so now the thing is that every time the only way you do this kind of spec work or this free work is you do it intentionally. You do it with a purpose. You're doing it not just to get that client, but you're doing it to build up your portfolio, and it's an investment in your company. That's the only reason why you're doing it. If you're not doing it to invest in your company, if you're not doing it to build your portfolio, then you do not do free work. Do you understand me? Do not do free work. Number 4, be confident. That sounds maybe easier said than done, but it's really important. So especially, okay, let me just talk to the ladies just for a second. As ladies, we tend to be a lot less assertive and a lot less sure of ourselves and a lot less confident. And so when you go in and approach, and let's just be honest, most business owners are men. That's just fact. And so when you go in and you approach, these business owners, dress nice, don't, if you wear perfume, don't overdo it. But the thing is that a lot of these men business owners or these managers who run the businesses tend to be a lot more sensitive or more patient with women who come in and just in general. And so, don't abuse that fact, but definitely use it to your advantage. By being charming, by, not being overly aggressive. Use these things to your advantage. There are differences, guys come across one way and women come across a different way. And, each of us come across our own way. But for me, I always thought, okay, I don't have to come across aggressive. I can be charming. I can be, nice and convincing, but also not a pushover. So I think it's important for you to go in there, have confidence. Part of that is, again, dressing well, making sure you review the information that you need to start the conversation. Because most of the time, if you have a good start to the conversation, it'll continue to go well. So a couple of tips for that is, 1, have your business card in your pocket. The reason why I say that is because in the beginning, I would have my business card in my wallet, and it would just be, I'd be fumbling around trying to take it out, and it was just coming across really awkward and unprepared. So just have your business card in your pocket. Another thing is go on to LinkedIn and make sure you know the name and preferably the pronunciation of the manager or the business owner who you intend to speak to. So, for example, I go into, Business X, and the manager's name is Joseph, and he has like a different last name. Make sure you know the GM's name so that you can actually, even if if he's not in that day, they'll put the information on his desk, or you can ask for his business card, and so you can have his direct number and email address. Those are really important. Last thing, number 5, patience. Okay, and this is like the worst word in the world, right? Like, no one wants to hear the word be patient and you'll make a sale. But, on YouTube, for inspiration, you go in and you hear all these videos about, how this 5-year-old made, $50,000 last month, and or this 10-year-old, and you're just like, what the heck? What is going on? Like, how are they able to do that? And in either way, it can either be inspiration or it can, cause some jealousy or envy or whatever the case is. And it's important to know that each person's journey is their own. So, for example, mine, I started Jordan's course back in May of this year. And it was like 4 months later that I got my first client. And now you don't really see YouTube videos that say, how I landed my first client in 4 months. Because I don't know, it's just people want to put out these unrealistic expectations. And that's what happened to me. And, that's just how it worked out. But that's okay, right? sometimes when we see all these videos, it gives us these expectations like, oh, I should have done it in a month, or I should have done it in 2 weeks, or something crazy like that. And so then when you don't reach that, you're thinking to yourself, what's wrong with what I'm doing? Am I doing it right? Am I hitting out enough companies? Am I speaking to enough people? If you have a list of 100 people, trust me, you're reaching out to enough people, at least to start for the first, especially if you're still working a regular job. When I was working and when I was prospecting, I was working a temp job, and then going on during my lunch hour, I would go out and meet with a different business owner every single day, or following up with a different, with business owners that I'd spoken to every single day during my lunch. Sometimes I wouldn't make it back on time to work, but that's, you're doing what you have to do right now so that you can, have the client that you hope to have in the future. The other part of patience is making sure that you're diligent about your follow-up. You saw my client list, my prospect list. Every time, and especially if you don't want to pay for a CRM system, which is basically like a client management system, basically it kind of tells you like when you need to follow up with someone, what your notes were. You can do it manually. It requires a little bit more work, but you can do it that way. Another element to the patience is genuinely having empathy and compassion on your client. Understanding like, wow, I have something that could really change your business. And, especially most of these business owners are older, right? And so they're not, us as younger, the millennial generation, it's our native language. We understand social media, we understand technology, and Generation Z, they basically came out of the womb knowing how to, do Snapchat and everything like that. So it's important to be patient with the prospect. One, for them to understand the importance of digital marketing, and two, for them to understand what it actually does. And then the third thing that you need to be patient with your client about, or your prospect about, is that in order for them to work with you, first of all, you should be charging what you're worth. So that should probably be anywhere between $3,000 to $10,000 a month. That's just my opinion. And so when you go in and, you have your first meeting, you get to know them. You have your second meeting where you actually, create like a proposal, where you go in, you actually say, okay, these are the services that we're offering, and this is what we'll charge every month. If you're charging anywhere between $3,000 to $10,000 a month, you're charging essentially anywhere between $36,000 to $120,000 a year. That's a lot, right? That's a lot. And from an individual to another individual, that's a lot. For some businesses, that's not a lot. But let's just assume that for a business, a small, medium-sized business, their marketing budget, and they have to still spend money on their marketing spend. They still have to spend money on their print materials. They, and who knows what other kind of diversification they have in their marketing. But it's important to have empathy on what they are spending is a lot. You are a high ticket, commodity, and so, or service. And so it's important for you to not rush them into making a decision, but them coming to the conclusion, helping them come to the conclusion that it is the right decision for them. And that's really what the best salespeople do, is convincing their people that, hey, you guys could do this, could make this amount of money using my services. And, we like you, and it looks like we have a great relationship. I think we should continue to move forward. But you want them to feel the same way. Just because you're ready to make a sale doesn't mean someone's ready to buy. So have respect. But you guys, what do you think? Those are my top 5 strategies to gain your first social media client. If you have any questions, go ahead and write your comments below. If you have any other thoughts about what your favorite strategies are, again, comment below, like, and subscribe. We're going to continue to put out these videos for you guys every day. If there are any topics that you want covered, please write that below. You guys can even message me on Facebook Messenger. My account is facebook.com/Kayla Haley, KALAHHALEY. All right, guys, it was great seeing you again. I'll see you tomorrow.